Here is the brief description of We the Poison by Jordan Chariton.
Biggest government cover-up of the 21st century.
What do you call a decade of repeated Watergates, repeated times that they're actually trying to, how I feel, kill us off?
None of the facts have been disputed. Erin Brockovich actually said, this is the biggest cover-up you'll ever read.
And, 6 months after the water switch, my throat started bothering me. So I went for a biopsy. Long story short, it was aggressive throat cancer.
And justice delayed has been justice denied.
Yeah, the brown water coming out of there. And, in the bathroom.
And the youngest suicide victim, 5 years old. We talk about the effects, the effects of lead. It affects your brain, it affects your mentality.
It's been 8 years, man. It's been 8 fucking years. I can't take it. And if I die because of this, I'm dead. I'm dead. But someone's got to speak it up.
What I can do is, at the very least, expose what was done to these people, the details, the who, what, when, why. Maybe it could help them fight it elsewhere.
He is the host of Status Quo News. He is the founder of Status Quo News, and he is the best independent journalist, in my and Jen's humble opinion, in the U.S. today. Jordan Chariton, welcome back to Generational Change.
Hey, sorry, my studio is on the fritz. Something's wrong with the camera, so you get me in the kitchen.
Well, our studio's always on the fritz.
We always
so,
have issues.
We understand that. We always need more. We could use help too, but Jordan needs it more than we
Jordan
do,
does
so
need it more.
please. Tell us how this all came about. I think you should probably start from the beginning. What first got you to head out to Flint in the first place? I think you had briefly mentioned that somebody had messaged you and you thought, you know what, this seems like a story that's at least worth taking a look at. How did the whole evolution of covering the story of Flint's water crisis come about?
Yeah, so in 2016, I was kind of covering the Bernie Woodstock stage. I was covering Bernie rallies. I was covering Trump rallies. So really, Flint was just kind of, I was like everyone else. I saw it on the news, but I naively thought, you have to imagine the government's going to fix this, right? So I was at the People's Summit, which I think you were there too, Peter.
Yes, I was.
If memory's Chicago, and a resident of Flint came up to me. So that was really the first time I ever talked to anyone from Flint.
Wow.
And this was summer, I believe, of 2016. So
June of
this was after, Rachel Maddow did her little town hall in Flint, and the media went to Flint for 5 minutes. And she was basically just pleading with me to come to Flint and cover it, because she was telling me that the media had abandoned Flint and it was just disaster. Things were getting worse, not better. And, it just stuck with me, even though at that moment I was, in election mode, and 2016 was obviously really, a special time. I asked my boss at the time, Jank, to send me there. To his credit, he did. And I went there for the first time over the summer of 2016. And, I had never seen anything like it, to be honest. I mean, I grew up not wealthy, but not poor. I grew up kind of middle-class Long Island. My biggest worry I had was getting teased as a kid, but I never wanted for water or food or anything like that. And going to Flint, I mean, within an hour or two of going to different people's homes, I was finding just laundry machines broken from the water damage, dishwashers broken from the dirt, from the contaminated water, kids showing me rashes on their skin, people showing me plastic bags with globs of their hair that had fallen out. And meanwhile, like when I went back to the hotel that first night, I remember this to this day. I turned on CNN and they were covering whatever insane thing Trump tweeted.
Right.
So it was kind of like I'm in the thick of this in Flint, seeing like a rolling disaster that already was kind of being forgotten by the media, and the people were in. I don't even like the word crisis because people kind of have become numb to it. Like it's just a disaster, and it still is 10 years later. So that was kind of my first trip there, and how I got involved. And that first trip, in many ways, kind of radicalized me a bit journalistically. To we all, the old folks in journalism like to pretend that we should all just be neutral dinosaurs and not have an opinion or not care about the stories we cover. I think you'd kind of have to be a sociopath to witness what I just described and not care and not take it upon yourself to do something about it. So that's why I went back 21 times since then. I would have never been able to stay on this story or even publish this book without the support of viewers, because it's very expensive to keep doing on the ground reporting. But in the beginning, really, I wanted to focus on the human suffering. I wasn't really thinking about like cover up or breaking,
Right.
investigative components, but the residents were just dumping on my lap. Just a massive cover up and details of corruption, and that this wasn't some mistake as the media was describing, that this was actually a massive financial scheme that caused this. So that's kind of how I first got involved.
Yeah, I have this thought that I've been thinking about lately since what's been going on in Gaza, and that genocide. And this is what's going on here. We're having our own genocide in this country, and we see it in these kinds of situations. This is to me what I think of as like domestic genocidal behavior. And we're seeing it. And let's be clear. I mean, talk about what kind of community that is, because it's not Beverly Hills. Okay. So, talk about the people that are there, because this is how come they get away with stuff like this.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying for a while, basically ever since October 7th happened. And to me, obviously, I'm not minimizing what's going on in Gaza, but to me, this is a slow-moving genocide. Not every genocide the bodies don't pile up all at once.
Right.
And this has been going on for 10 years. And frankly, I don't think there's I don't think there's ever going to be a way to know the full, accurate death count of how many people have died in Flint because of this. They did not have a health registry for many years. Flint's population has shrank by 20,000 over the last 10 years. So the people that left, nobody is tracking their health conditions. Cancer is surging in Flint, and I can tell you it's not coming from the weather. It's coming from the water. And between cancers, liver failure, kidney failure, also, lead and heavy metals, it attacks pretty much every system and organ you could think of. So, I mean, just anecdotally, it's not really anecdotally. I mean, I think there was enough. In 2018, when I went there, I was working on a story. I knocked on over 400 doors, and I could tell you, like almost every other block, I was finding out a new person that had just died on that block. And not only elderly people, like 40s, 50s, 60s. So this is a mass ongoing. I want to emphasize that ongoing disaster, and it's also an ongoing cover up, because the media has pushed this bullshit narrative that this was just a tragic mistake born from government officials trying to save some money. No, this was and Peter, you're reading the book, so I hope you could see this. This was happened because they wanted to make money. This is a for-profit scheme to make money, and the residents of Flint were used kind of as guinea pigs. And frankly, there is not a chance that anything like this would have happened in Ann Arbor, which is an hour from Flint, wealthier, whiter community. I mean, name it. The nice part of Miami, the nice part of Debbie Wasserman's district. This happened in Flint because the politicians did not care enough because of who made up that community to do the due diligence to make sure the water would be safe. So yeah, I could get in the weeds, but to be clear, Flint never got the COVID death count. The clock, the live count on the networks when COVID was at its worst with 3,000 dying a day.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared.
So Flint never got that, but I could tell you, I've talked to nurses that are afraid to go public. I've talked to lawyers. The true death count could be in the tens of thousands when this is all said and done.
Well, I think the other issue, and this is something that they're never going to really be able to account for. This is the kind of stuff that causes like genetic and chromosomal abnormalities in future generations. So this is one of those things. So forget like literally the mental retardation that occurs from lead poisoning and those things. This is going to affect generations just from that damage to these kids. And I don't think and it's not as if these people can just go, because who's buying their places? Where are they going? They can't afford to go anywhere. This is where I think there should have been some sort of, if we lived in my universe, and the same thing for like places like East Palestine, is you have it where people can actually get paid to relocate, that you subsidize that and pay and buy their property so they don't take a loss, and try to do the best you can to make people whole somewhere else. But we don't live there.